Manhwa. Ah, yes. A name associated with shittiness and repetitiveness. But how did we get here? Well, first off, we should go back in time a bit. Believe it or not, in the early days of manhwa, there were many creative narratives, the likes of Tower of God and the God of High School. Both are considered backbones of modern day manhwa. Tower of God is widely known for its massive world building and massive cast of characters, and is only getting more popular with the anime adaptation that is actually pretty good, unlike some other manhwas. Speaking of which, God of High School, in anime terms, it's like the JJK of manhwa. It's an action-packed manhwa that grips you with its fight and makes you stay for the interesting story. I mean, just look at this. That's a clip from the anime, by the way, which personally disappointed me so hard, but I'm not trying to get off topic here, so let's continue. So, where did things go wrong? Solo Leveling is a name I am sure you are all familiar with. But, well, if you are living under a rock, it's basically the One Piece of manhwa in terms of popularity. And with that kind of fame came a lot of money. Solo Leveling's story is not comparable to its art. What I mean by that is, while the story is good in a basic sense compared to its art, it feels lacking. With all these pieces coming together, it set the stage to the next age of new gen manhwa. In this new gen and nowadays, you see manhwas that have absolute dog shit stories have gorgeous arts. The focus went from having a developing a good story, developing a good world, a unique stuff. Now it's just degenerate to the same generic stuff over and over and over again. You have sites like Azure Scan, which basically have the same story but with different characters. It's a dumpster fire. Artists and studios, instead of taking inspiration from the good manhwas and instead of taking inspiration to create their own story, they just kinda, it's kind of depressing seeing such talented artists wasting their talent on such shit stories. Don't get me wrong, there are many diamonds in the rough and there are many good manhwas, but they are rarely seen, like, anywhere. It's just the same generic stuff over and over again. And that brings me to my next point, manhwa artist. You can think of manhwa artists as MAPPA employees, but not to the extent that MAPPA makes it. Since some manhwas that I know of run on a donation system where the reader can donate to the artist. So most of the time they have no funds unless they work on a studio, which in that case the studio takes most of the funds for themselves and leave nothing for the artist. In which case, in most cases, what happens is a dispute happens between the artist and the studio. Some famous examples of this dispute happening is a player who returned after 6 blah 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 and the beginning after the end. The beginning after the end was one of the most hyped manhwas like ever, and it's in the most crucial point in the story that this dispute happened, which led to a hiatus. This hiatus practically killed the hype for the whole manhwa. And for the player who returned after blah blah blah, it had not a unique story in a sense, but a good one. And it had such a good fucking art. Like, the art was so gorgeous that I was just hooked. In the end of season 1, I anticipated season 2 with such hype when I heard news of artists changing, so I expected like nothing to happen, only to return to a different type. The old artist was kicked out because some money disputes and they hired a new one that wasn't as good, which in turn led to readers being severely disappointed. So in conclusion, Manhwa is still shit.